what we are talking about today to kick us off is this idea that the work is the cure, and the fact that being connected to divine is the whole point. Let me bring it up here so I can actually read it. The work is the cure, and being connected to divine is the whole point. There was something that I've seen come up consistently now in the last just over 24 hours. And it's this idea of the work is the cure and allowing divine to work through you. Now, that sounds great and wonderful and something that could be on a bumper sticker, but what the heck does it actually mean, and how is it relevant to you, your life, your business, your income, etc.? So, if you're anything like me, and by anything like me, I mean a normal human who has normal human emotions and experiences the full spectrum of highs and lows and excitement and joy, but also sometimes being anxious or stressed or overwhelmed. I have all of those emotions myself and still experience them, absolutely. And I think that we also go through phases and seasons in our lives when we're learning new things, when we're tuning in on what's next. And sometimes there is a pause while we are noticing what we're now going to create or step into. And it's something that I've spoken on a little bit, definitely, with mastermind clients as well, around this idea that, not even idea, this year has been bizarre for me because I felt that there was a completion of a phase of my life and business that had happened up to this point as we go into, I think this is the 9th year of running to Living Free. And I didn't know what to do next. Like, I was brought to tears last week in my own personal mastermind with some of my friends and colleagues because my thought was like, I don't want to kill To Living Free. I don't want to kill this business and move on to something else. So how does this business evolve and grow so that I can keep having the impact that I want while also continuing to grow myself? And there are times when we are going through those shifts and growths. That growth makes it sound like I had some weird fungal thing, but these shifts and expansion that's going on, that we don't know the next step, right? And is there anything more frustrating when you know you're supposed to be a creative, a creator, and yet you're not sure what the next aligned action is? I love to have clarity. I love to know the next aligned action. And I also know that there are times where it may look like procrastination. It may look like I'm not disciplined enough. It may look like I have no idea what I'm doing, which might be in that moment true. But what I also do know is that I can always trust myself, and that deep down, I always know the next step to take, even if that step in that moment is pause, is breathe. And I can say that overall for this year, and where are we at right now, mid-March, so for the first 2.5 months of this year, which is plenty long, I have been more in a space of just be present in my life, and the next thing will present itself. Now, that doesn't mean that I just sat around and ignored it. It might have been more effective if I had done that, but I still stayed present in asking the questions, journaling, exploring, surrendering, and allowing what to come through that was meant to come through next. And I will say that there are times that I felt total clarity and then lost it and then changed my mind and then had moments of crying and confusion and all the things. Like I said, full gambit of emotion. And the reason I share this is because I think we get it in our heads that when we hit this certain level, which I was just calculating last night, that my certain level of officially being, a self-made millionaire, I saw that we made $1,036,000, I can't remember what it was, I had it up on my phone a little bit ago, dollars in the last year. That does not mean that yay, very excited about that, amazing. And also doesn't mean that I'm just now floating around on a pink cloud and everything's perfect all the time and I never have any issues or concerns again. No, money gets to be a norm. And I will talk to you all day and night about normalizing money because it's something that I'm incredibly passionate about. But even with the money taken care of, even with the successful business, even with all of that, the most important pieces are still coming back to tending to the superflow, still coming back to what is it that I'm called to do? How is it that I'm called to serve? How can I be of deeper service and connection? And that brings us to what we're talking about today around the work is the cure and being connected to divine is the whole point. That is what brought me through those moments of not knowing and being allowing myself to just be paused and be present until I did know the next aligned action. And as of yesterday, I feel crystal clear again on this is the business model I'm stepping into. This is how my business now works. This is how my income now works. This is where we're going. Because for me, and I know many of you are the same, we are visionaries. Our job is to download and receive the vision and be able to translate that vision to the integrators that we surround ourselves with to actually help carry out the creation of the vision. I want that to really be clear here, because I think a lot of times we put pressure on ourselves as visionaries to then also be the integrators and the doers, which is not your job. With love, there's a lot of people who don't have vision, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's not judgment. It's not any of that. There are people who are visionaries and there are people who are more integrators. They're more the doers and the creators. One cannot really exist without the other. We work best together. For me, and I bet for many, if not most of you, you are a visionary. You have ideas and visions about how you can make the world better, your business better, your life better. You feel inspired by these ideas to expand or create expansion in yours or others' lives. It is then your job to call in, hire, connect with integrators to help put these pieces into place. Okay? That's my biggest job. So when I don't know what the vision is, then my job is to tune in on that, to take time with that. And the issue is in modern day society, we are taught to do. We're taught that doing is all the magic. But for a visionary, oftentimes it requires being in order to allow the vision. And it requires being in nature, being with yourself in quiet, meditation, journaling, walks, that sort of thing, without outside input, which I find oftentimes can just distract us from the guidance of our actual soul. So when I say the work is the cure, for me, what the work is for every single one of us here is it's the whole freaking point, that whole reason you want this business. Now, let's be clear. Yes, the freedom is lovely. Yes, the money is lovely. Those are things that are really important to us, the impact. But I'm going to go a little deeper with why I think you actually want this business, because it's what I've discovered for myself. It's what I've seen directly with my mastermind clients. It's what I've seen with family and friends who have dug into this work. And the whole reason that I think that you actually want to do this work, whether you've realized it on a conscious level or not, is because when you do this work, you are one with divine. It's one of the most orgasmic, expansive, pure experiences that I believe we get to have. It's the reason I still coach. You know, I could easily automate the entire business and not do this at all. But when I am on here with you, when we dive into the coaching here in a minute, when I get to channel through these words that I don't plan or prep ahead of time, but they come from somewhere that feels not separate from me, but it's not coming from my mind either. There is a moment where I'm connected to something greater and I get to allow that through. It's the reason that I was able to stay on our mastermind call yesterday for 3.5 hours. I'm a projector. I tend to work in short bursts of energy and then need to rest. But when I am plugged in to the thing that is my soul's work, I can sustain energy so much longer because it doesn't feel like it's coming even from my emotional or physical body. It is like I am plugged in to God, life, divine itself. And I believe the whole, oh, this is so good. I'm like, oh, I need to rename this one again. This is what always happens to me. I get going and I'm like, oh, I know what the name of this one finally is. I believe the whole freaking purpose of all of this, the reason I'm doing the work, honestly, a good part of the reason that I'm even here on this planet at this time, is to commune with divine. And I believe the same is true for you. And that's why I'm so passionate about supporting and guiding modern day mystics. Because a mystic is someone who communes with divine through self-contemplation, through, there's various ways of doing it, but it's this idea of being one with infinite. That is what I want for you more than anything. And it's not just because it sounds good, sounds pretty, whatever. When you tune into your nature and practice being the modern day mystic that you are, what happens is the business the marketing, the strategy, the social media, the pricing, the launches, the content creation, the clients getting paid to be you becomes not only simple and easy, but automatic. I want you to consider the thing that brings joy and tears to your eyes. So one of my amazing mastermind clients yesterday at the beginning of our call, when she was explaining to me what she does, and she was kind of feeling, stuck around the whole messaging piece and how to actually explain it. But when she talked about what she actually does without the rules or the formula, and I mean, I love the formula. I help who transform what into what kind of outcome. It's great to give you that initial structure if you're brand new to this kind of work. But let me be also clear, you don't have to use that. You don't ever have to use that. It's not going to stop you from making money. It's just there to give you a little bit of structure and framework when you're new to these things. But when she would talk about the work that she did without the structure and the rules around it, it made her emotional. It brought tears to her eyes because she could feel it so fully and completely. That feeling is when you are in your mystic power. That feeling is when you are communing with life itself, divine itself. You are then in that moment connected to every single human and living thing on this planet. You think marketing is complicated for someone who is interconnected to all? No. So how do we relate this back to having a business and doing social media posts? You tend to that feeling. It's similar to when I talk about tending to the superflow. Rather than forcing yourself to do something from a state that feels kind of sticky and icky and mucky, what do you need to do, or what do you need to focus on to be in that state where you feel like you are connected to life itself? And this is part of the big reason that you often will hear me recommend, especially in the core trainings here of Academy even, to go have real conversations with real people. Because what can happen a lot of times if you get sucked too deep into the online marketing game or the online marketing machine is that you start to believe that there's a right and wrong way to do things, that if you don't do it right, you're going to screw it all up and it's going to break and it's never going to work for you. When the truth of the matter is if you will just get out there and cultivate the moments that bring you that feeling of yes, that emotion, that connection with other people, you will always know the next aligned action to take if you will put yourself into that state. The issue is, and I did this for the first couple of years before I started this business, is that we tend to be so afraid to go talk and connect with and have conversations with strangers, or let alone friends, family, whatever, around the things that really light us up. This isn't just like going and talking to your sister to get advice in your business. That's not going to probably expand you. This is about you go be of service. What is the work that you care about? And how can you get that work in front of the people that it's going to bring light to their eyes, that's going to also light you up? Now, if you're a coach or a course creator, it could be sharing your content in some ways or having a session. If you're an artist or a musician or a writer, it's still having that human connection with your creative work, right? Maybe it's doing a showing or a gallery opening, or getting to read your book to someone, or even like having a book signing or something where you can go and read and share your work with other people. But the moment that you can share what has come through you and see the transfer and sharing of divinity with another human is what sums up the whole purpose of all of this. It's the thing that will keep you moving when you don't give a damn about Facebook groups or posting on social media or writing another email, or maybe your launch doesn't go how you want it to, or you haven't made the money yet. What's the thing that's going to keep you moving? It is this. And so when I say the work is the cure, I can say from personal experience over and over and over again that, like, for instance, doing that immersion yesterday with my mastermind clients, that was the work. Getting in and having real conversations with real people is what helped bring the life back to me and the clarity so powerfully back to me around why I do this work, what I stand for, and how I want to move forward. There's only so much I can do in a journal. There's only so much I can do through contemplation and meditation. At the end of the day, you've got to get out there and actually do the work with other people. And it scares us because we're so afraid of being vulnerable, being judged, being whatever. But the only way to break through to that next piece for yourself is to do the work. Okay? Does this make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying here? Because then traditional strategy just doesn't matter as much, because strategy with online business has never been more complicated than what is this work that you believe in so deeply, and how can you get it in front of more people and invite them to join you? That's all online business is. It is all the rules that are telling you that it's something else that are keeping you stuck. The idea that you have to have a website or your business cards or your cars also, your title, your branding colors, your launch sequence, your funnel, your whatever, all of that is distracting you unless it makes you feel like you are working with divine itself. For the most part, I don't get that vibe from any of that. Now and then from graphics and design, I love the visual side of it. Now and then I can get that, and I'll play with those a little bit still. I still do pretty much all my graphics and headers and all of that sort of thing. My brother started to do some of it for me. But because that makes me still feel, I can feel life itself moving through me. Everything else, posting on social media at this point, doesn't give me that feeling. So my team does it for me. So I've delegated it. But I want you to tune in here. And I want you to fill in for yourself. If you look at the work you're called to do, maybe the work you've been doing, the business you have or that you're creating, what are the things that you can feel so clearly are the moments where you are pure love, the moments where you feel expanded and alive, the moments where you feel like maybe you have communed with something greater, your highest self, divine life itself.